On my morning walk this morning, I was reflecting on the cost of growth, how growth is expensive, not in money, but in energy, in attention and effort. And I use growth as a loose term to represent anything that you're trying to improve at, whether it's learning a new skill, improving your physique in the gym, whether it's any form of stretching or pushing yourself out of your current comfort zone in order to get to a better outcome, better goal, often in terms of learning new things and improving. And this was sparked after yesterday I played a long paddle game with friends, around 2 hours. It was super competitive. I've been playing paddle probably around 6 months in terms of playing regularly, and I'm still learning the game. So there's a lot going on in these matches. And today I woke up a little bit flat. I woke up a bit of brain fog. I woke up with a sore lower back and my knees feeling a little bit stiff. And I asked myself, Adam, are you just getting old now? Are you getting old and you pushing yourself and things just take the toll? And I caught myself and I realized, wait a second, this is what growth should feel like. If I'm trying to improve at something, which in this case, paddle, I'm trying to learn a new skill. My body's trying to learn new movement patterns. My brain's trying to predict where the ball's going to go, the angles, the trajectories, and there's a lot to figure out. So in terms of feeling sore, in terms of my brain feeling a bit fatigued, this is exactly the cost of growth. And as my brain was reflecting on this, I started to think that growth is very much like investing, in terms of investing money or resources. And energy is the currency. So when we invest in growth, we need energy. We need energy to put into things. And it's a costly kind of trade-off where we need to have a kind of reserve of energy to put into the things that are meaningful in our lives. If I look at myself when I'm feeling my best, when I feel like I'm progressing towards my goals, I feel the most fulfilled, it's always when I'm on a growth path. And when I'm on a growth path, I'm investing good parts of my energy into things that are meaningful. And like I said, this can be mental energy into things you're learning, or it can be physical energy into the body and improving the body or learning a new skill like I'm currently doing with paddle. So it got me thinking about why it's challenging to always be growing. Obviously, I'm talking now about this energy kind of trade-off, but with this, there's a few things that are important. One is we need the energy originally, right? We need enough energy to be able to invest in growing. The same as with investing in the stock market or in income streams, you need a amount of money to be able to invest. So you first need to have enough energy in terms of growth to cover your current day-to-day living, your things that need to be done, your tasks, your living requirements. So you can't invest what you don't have in terms of energy. So we need to find a way to have enough energy for the things that are meaningful, but then most importantly, we need a surplus. We need a surplus of energy in order to invest in things that are meaningful, to help us to grow and progress. It's exactly the same with our money and investing. When we want to invest in the future, we need a surplus of money. We need to have more money than we spend. We need to have covered our living costs, covered our day-to-day money, and then we need to be able to use that surplus to invest in the future. It got me thinking the challenge a lot of people face is, one, they don't have this surplus, and then when they do have this surplus, they don't spend it well. They waste it on things that aren't meaningful. So if we bring it back to growth and needing energy, what people mostly do is they waste their energy. They waste it on scrolling social media, watching TV programs, doing meaningless things. And we all have a challenge in our lives where there's more things we want to do than the time we have in the day. We all have demands, work, family, social life, commitments that we need to take care of and that we want to take care of. And then we all have, hopefully, some hours in the day which we can use for other things and use them in the right way. So it got me thinking how you're very, very intentional about, are you investing your resources in terms of time and energy on the things that matter most? And when I look at it for myself, what's very important with this is that growth can't be an afterthought. What I mean by that is it can't be, I do my normal life stuff and then whatever's left over, I will use that to read and grow and improve. For me, that never works out well. Work will always take up the whole day if I let it. So for me, I need to be very intentional about growth, intentional about how I use my resources, in this case, time and energy, in order to grow. So for me, one of the things I do at the moment is I block out the first 3 hours of my day for my personal growth. That includes meditating, it includes walking the dog, which I often use to think and come up with these video ideas. It involves reading, it involves writing, it involves learning new things, learning new skills. So I have 3 hours in my day which I block out and I intentionally plan for my own personal growth. If I didn't do that, very quickly, work demands would come up. I would have coaching calls, I'd have respond to emails, but I have those first 3 hours where I really try to be as intentional as I can to block out all noise and just really invest those in my personal growth. And then for my physical growth or my body, I'm generally doing 2 hours a day, normally 2 till 4 p.m. I block out for the gym or paddle or some form of physical activity where, again, I'm growing. I'm either stretching my body or I'm learning a new skill. I know some people do not have that luxury. I know I'm very fortunate to have a large window of my day I can dedicate to exercise, but still I have to invest that time wisely. If I didn't block out that time, guess what? Life takes over. Life gets busy. Things need responded to. Things take up that time. So being intentional with that time and thinking for yourself, like, what activities do you want to be doing more of that lead to growth? And how can you intentionally set up your days, your weeks, your lives so you're putting time into those buckets? Again, it's like this kind of investment analogy kept coming back to me as I was thinking through this. When you're investing, you've got to invest consistently over long periods of time, and you've got to be intentional with that money. So for me, with money, what works best is if an automation's just set up that takes money out every month and invests in something passive like an index fund where I don't need to think about it, and doing that first. So rather than spending what I can over the course of a month and seeing what's left, I prefer to do it first. Invest in things first with the money that comes in, and then use the money, the rest of the money for living costs, general day-to-day life. And I think that's intentionality around growth, around investing your energy, your money, your resources intentionally in things that matter is really, really important. And then kind of knowing that the trade-off is there's always going to be a bit of short-term pain. There's always going to be a bit of growing pains, so to speak. And I know for me, when I'm most alive, I feel at my best, I've always got growing pains. So I've always been training my body since I was 11. I joined my local running club, and I was training 3-4 times a week very quickly. And then I went to the gym after running and did powerlifting, and I'm doing paddle alongside powerlifting at the moment. But I've always felt soreness in my body, to be honest. I rarely wake up going, my body feels amazing. Maybe some yogis who stretch every day and have a lot of mobility, they have that feeling. But for me, I've always associated, a bit of soreness in the body. Of course, you're training. You need that kind of response to that. So having these kind of growing pains is a good sign. I feel like it's the same for learning in the brain as well. When you're learning new things, you're stretching yourself, you're challenging yourself, there's a bit of fatigue there as well. I use paddle as an example of feeling brain fatigue because my brain was solving so many puzzles on a paddle court, but also learning. Like right now I'm learning new things, I'm sharing ideas on video. At the end of that, I feel a little bit of a mental drain. It's like a strained muscle. The brain's had to work, building new connections, new neurons, and that's a good thing. So it leads me to the final realization, you can't outsource growth. Growth comes from effort. It comes from time under tension. It comes from directly learning something, putting in those hours of trying to figure things out, whether it's mentally figure things out or physically, but pushing yourself with some form of resistance or learning something new that's outside your comfort zone, and you can't outsource that. And the growth itself is actually the byproduct of effort. So the currency is energy for growth, and then the nature of getting the growth is the effort you put in, and you grow as a adaptation to effort. And it always amazes me how often the gym analogy works so well, like putting reps in the gym. You strain the muscles, put time and attention, and then they grow stronger. in life, it's so apparent that that's true as well. Like anything you're trying to get better at, you're trying to improve at, you're trying to grow. Like I said, grow is a loose term for improve. You need that time and attention. You need to put in effort to see those rewards. So yeah, there's just a little thought I had about why growth feels hard. Like when you feel like you're straining yourself, you're tired, you're fatigued, it's often a good sign as long as you've been putting the time into the things that are meaningful. Because on the flip side, you can wake up in the morning exhausted because you've been on your phone at night scrolling through Instagram or social media, and you can wake up just as fatigued as learning new things, learning new sport, doing things that are actually meaningful. So yeah, my kind of thing is you're always going to have some sort of discomfort. I would rather have growing pains over pains of stagnation any day of the week. And yeah, just know that's part of the course. So this is my little reminder to myself that growing is supposed to feel hard. You're supposed to feel tired, sore, fatigued, because that's the adaptation response to growth. And from that, you can make progress towards your goals.